laws have been changed to protect the innocent.
The swine flu pandemic has reared its ugly head in upstate South Carolina in the sleepy little town of Newberry. Over spring break, 13 students from Newberry Academy went to Cancun, Mexico. When they returned, 12 of them had fallen ill with flu-like symptoms. One student who has tested positive for swine flu apparently infected at least one other student who hadn't gone to Mexico at all. I spoke with the school's headmaster, Bob Dawkins, about the illnesses and the closing of the school. When did you first learn that some of your students were ill?
When they got back from Cancun on the 20th. Some of them were sick. And because they were to come back into school at 11 o'clock that day in the morning. And we started to get calls that some of them, when they got off the plane, were sick, and they were not coming in. Over the course of the next couple of days, more of them got sick. And so by midweek to Thursday, we had most of them not in school due to illness. Didn't make a connection with swine flu because at the time the reports that had been on the national press were that it was in the border towns of Mexico and Mexico City. Our kids were in Cancun, which is a long way from there, so we didn't really make that connection. And then Saturday, I received a call from the state health department, and one of the doctor's offices had alerted them that we had a lot of kids that had flu-like symptoms and they'd been to Mexico. So they wanted to do tests on our kids that next day on Sunday. So I had to provide them with the phone numbers of all the students that went on the trip, and they called them and made arrangements to swab them on Sunday. Those swabs were sent to Atlanta to some labs, and then we were notified this morning, I want to say about 10 o'clock, that one of our students' swabs had turned up probable for swine flu. And then they also tested some of the boyfriends and girlfriends that had been around these kids that don't go to our school, and one of those young men tested probable. So they took it from there. They visited those two families very early today. Of course, for us, it was just a matter of when are you going to let us start back to school.
Right. How many students actually went to Mexico?
13.
And how many came back sick?
12 eventually got sick.
And do you have any idea what the total number of students that are ill now is?
Well, they're pretty much all over it now. The last one to get sick was Saturday morning, and she was out here today, so I'm assuming that she's pretty much over it now. It's not a 7 to 10 day flu like a lot of the flus that come through this country are. It's a mild flu, 3 to 4 days, and they seem to be okay. And the two that tested probable for swine flu, they're the same? They're both well. Okay. One of those was over here today also.
Okay, so the school was closed just today, is that right?
We were closed yesterday and today.
And when will you reopen?
Monday.
Okay. Have you had any guidance from the CDC or the local health department as far as cleaning procedures? I heard you say something about private companies wanting to charge you an arm and a leg.
Yeah, we haven't had any contact with the CDC. The health officials have kind of been in between us and them, the state health officials, and they've been directing us and keeping us posted of what we needed to do. And as far as cleaning the school, the cleaning people that have been in here today and won't be back tomorrow are some of my mothers, and we're using 2 chemicals that we had here in the event that we ever had anything like this. And this all came about 2 years ago with the Mercer scare. That if you're familiar with Mercer, we were advised to have these chemicals in here in case that got into our school. Well, it turns out the same chemicals will work on swine flu.
The South Carolina Health Department has tentatively confirmed at least 2 of the cases to be swine flu. Test results are not yet back on the other children that have fallen ill. The virus, which contains attributes of swine flu, avian flu, and normal human flu, has infected thousands of people all over the world. So far in the United States, 68 cases have been reported to the CDC in 6 states. Fortunately, so far, the strain has proven to be more mild than the one in Mexico, which has claimed hundreds of lives.
I think it's too early to say how bad this is going to be. The situation in Mexico is quite different. It's too soon for us to say what the spectrum will be in this country, and I fear that as we continue to look for cases, we are going to see cases in this country that are more severe, individuals who are hospitalized, and I would not be surprised if we see deaths in this country.
This is obviously a cause for concern and requires a heightened state of alert. But it's not a cause for alarm.
As I said, Mexico hasn't been so lucky. In the Mexican capital alone, home to more than 20 million people, thousands of people have been infected and hundreds have been killed as a result of their exposure. Experts from the World Health Organization believe that they have found patient zero, a 4-year-old boy, and they hope to use his blood to synthesize a vaccine to this swine flu virus. For LiveLeak TV and LiveLeak.com, I'm Old Core in Newberry, South Carolina.